on the team last year, they expected to make a deep playoff run, and a lot of them, talk about getting to the World Series. What has it been like for someone who, and I mean, I say this respectfully, but probably didn't expect to be in the World Series this year and be part of a team that's here? What has this run been like for you personally?
Yeah, to be honest, the culture that this team brings all the way back from spring training, just being a part of my first big league spring training, I really didn't know what to expect. And when I got there, we expected this. This was, if we didn't get here, it would have been a failure, it would have been a disappointment. So, and to even go further, we expect to win this thing. We believe we can win these next 2 games, and we will. So, it was a thing where, I knew from the get-go that I was a part of a team that has high aspirations, and anything less than that would be falling short. So, there's the culture, and it starts from the top. It's everybody from Neander and Silverman all the way down. And we believe we're going to take this thing home, and there's nothing that can stop us.
Right. And I guess what I meant was specifically for Ryan Thompson to be pitching in the playoffs and pitching in the World Series, just from your personal aspect and the feedback you're getting from your family. What has that been like?
Yeah, I have to go back to the team, like because of that culture that has come down from the top, and because I've had it in my head from the get-go, like we have a great shot at the World Series. I knew that from day one. I was telling my parents, we could do this thing. And so, I've had it in my head for a while now that this could be a reality, and getting here, it's similar to my debut in a way of looking back at my journey and looking back at, being a little kid wanting to play in the major leagues. It's crazy in that regard, but knowing the work that I've put in, and knowing, how much that I've wanted this, and how much I know that I can do this, that it wasn't a surprise. And it's the same thing for us in the World Series. Is it crazy that the Tampa Bay Rays are in the World Series? Yes, but at the same time, no, because we are good enough,
Neil Solantz.
Hey, Ryan. On the family end, because you had your big league debut in a situation where your family couldn't be in the ballpark, what has it meant to have, though? I've seen the video of your mom. What has it meant to have them in the ballpark, seeing you pitch in person in games like these?
I just wish that I could hug them. I just wish that I could run up into the stands and say hi, or even after the game, meet them out for dinner or something. That's the part that sucks for us, is that there's a disconnect. Our parents get to feel this emotion, and we get to feel an emotion, and it's slightly different, but we don't get to embrace and feel this moment together. It's amazing that they're able to be here. It's been a struggle this whole season, them wanting to come and be there with me, and they've been with me my whole life trying to get here, and now I'm here. And it's, for the whole season, it's kind of felt like, that they've been just kind of removed. They're here and they're in my heart, but it's like I can't see them, and it sucks. But now that they're here, and now that they're able to be here, especially my mom, my dad was here, I think, for the wild card, and my mom was able to come. And now that more fans are able to be here, my uncle's here, my grandpa's here, all people who are instrumental for me to get to this point. And, it's just amazing to be able to share the experience with them.
And to pitch in the moments that you've had, be it the last few days against the Dodgers and the Yankees in Houston, what have you learned about yourself, and how do you want to grow going forward, since this was your rookie year?
One of the biggest things that I'm learning is pitching with fatigue, especially in the minor leagues, how, it's a lot. The whole goal is to get to the big leagues. So they're not really going to push you too far. An injury is not something anybody's willing to risk. So, you're not really throwing back-to-back days too often, if any, never back-to-back-to-back days. So you're really regulated at that point. And especially once I had Tommy John, all of last year, I had all my outings regulated. I would throw 1 inning, I would have a guaranteed day off. If I threw 2, I had a guaranteed 2 days off. And even in the season with the shorter schedule, and with all the injuries we had, I think Cash did a great job with managing us and keeping us healthy the best he could. And so now that we're in the playoffs, you know, it's win or go home. And so there's situations where we got to throw. And I battled a little bit in the Yankees series when I went out there and I walked a couple guys. I was just dealing with fatigue, and I hadn't done that in years. I haven't dealt with fatigue since college, and I pitched way differently back then. I threw about 84 miles an hour. So it's just a little bit different. So that's the big thing now, is just, you know, learning how to make mid-game adjustments when you don't feel your best. You know, you take for granted sometimes how easy it is to pitch when you feel good, you know, and now you're having to get some of the best hitters in the world out when you don't feel good. And that's the fun part about pitching. You know, that's the chess match. So that's probably the biggest thing that I'm looking to improve mentally and physically for next year.
We'll go to Tim Brown.
Hey, Ryan, after a month in this bubble world, in a few days, they're going to release you into the wild. I'm curious, what is the one thing that you are just dying to do that you haven't done in forever? And you're like, this is when I get out, this is what I'm going to go do.
Wow. Probably just go enjoy a breakfast somewhere where I can just sit and just have 4 or 5 cups of coffee and do a crossword and just hang out with family and just be out in public, you know. And obviously not like, I'm not looking at going to the bars or the clubs. Like, that's not my style. You know, I just want to be able to just go enjoy a good breakfast. I'm struggling, you know, having to just eat the same thing over and over again in the hotel. You know, breakfast is my thing. I'm a breakfast guy.
You got a spot in your hometown where you have in mind?
There's a spot in Oregon called the Nets that I really like.
The Nets?
A Nets, yeah.
Oh, a Nets. What town is that in?
That's in West Salem.
West Salem. All right. Well, tell them you're coming.
All right.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
John Romano.
Hey, Ryan, at the top of this conversation, you were very passionate about what this team has accomplished and how it believed in itself. If Cash comes to you tomorrow and says, I want you to talk to the players before Game 6, what do you tell them? What is the message? What do these guys need to think about going into Game 6 tomorrow night?
Sorry, I'm trying.
We can't hear you, Ryan. Unmute.
Can you hear me?
Now we can hear you.
Okay. I'm trying to find John.
Oh, here. There.
Did I swipe past you? How do I get on that screen where it'll pop up the guy talking? I'm bad on my phone. I'm sorry.
Speaker view. There should be a speaker view option. Muted again.
You'd think I'm a lot older than I am. Yeah, to answer that question, I would just say to stay true to our identity. You know, I think something that's really amazing about our team is that we don't have any egos. You know, our team is full of amazing human beings. And, you know, like, when I was coming up through the minor league system, it's not quite what I expected. I felt like once I got to the major leagues, there'd be kind of a disconnect between the older guys and the rookies. And, you know, there'd be a lot of hazing, and there'd be, you know, just like, you got to kind of earn your way to this and that. And I don't know, I had a lot of expectations that wasn't how it is. You know, our team from the top up, from Charlie and Loop and KK all the way down the list, is full of guys who I would consider my family, you know. And considering this year, how we're in a bubble and how it has not been easy mentally, it is not. I can't imagine being on a team outside of the Tampa Bay Rays. These guys have just bonded together like I can't even describe. And when we're in this situation, we have guys like Willie and Brett Phillips guys that are just the Energizer bunnies in our clubhouse. And that is who we are. We're best friends on the field, off the field. And that's how we win games. We don't go out there and we don't hit 20 home runs a game, and we're not, the strongest. We're not that. That's not who we are. We're a team that feeds off of each other. We're a team that has that energy in the clubhouse before the game. We're hugging each other on the field. That's who we are. It's our passion that makes us so good.
Thank you, Ryan.
Skylar Dixon.
Ryan, you finally had a chance to play in front of fans. I wondered if you had thought much about what the sights and sounds might be like with that, and how the experience of it compares to what you might have expected.
Yeah, to be honest, I think the crowd noise they've been pumping in during COVID, during the bubble, has normalized it quite a bit, actually. Certain stadiums are louder than others, but I at no point in the World Series had I been out there and thought that it was any louder than normal. I know that there's only, I think, 11,500 fans. If there were more, maybe. I hear stories from last year's, I think it was the wild card in Oakland. They're saying the field was shaking. It was so loud, I haven't experienced anything like that. But yeah, I think MLB's done a really good job with the crowd noise and stuff like that throughout the year.
Appreciate it.
All right, we'll go to Chris Clark.
Hey there, Ryan. Chris Clark here, CBS 17 in Raleigh. You got a ton of fans at Bowies Creek that are definitely emailing me and watching every single night. There you go, right there. I was wondering what do you remember about pitching and playing down there for Coach Goff, and what, if anything, did you take from that experience to help you now?
Man, before I got to Campbell, I was a nobody, man. I was just a kid from a small town in Oregon that just loved baseball, and I got this opportunity to come to Campbell, and my life changed. I didn't know who I was as a human being. I didn't know who I was as a pitcher, and that all changed when I left. I have my life to thank for Coach McCarty, Coach Goff, Coach Hare. Those guys, I talk to them, seems like every week. Those guys are instrumental to my life and to my baseball career. I learned how to compete at the best level. They're to my best level there. I learned who I was as a follower of Christ there. I cannot describe how instrumental Campbell was to my career. I go back there every year. I try to talk to the guys every year. I cannot wait to go back. That place is like a magnet to me. Every year I go back and I pitch against them. I do some inter squads with the guys. I love that place. I absolutely love that place.
Can't wait to see you back here. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Brett Friedlander.
Yeah, Ryan, you mentioned a little earlier about your journey, and I was just wondering if at any point during that journey, and it was a long one, you mentioned the Tommy John, did you ever think about giving it up or wondering if it wasn't going to happen for you? And how much more does it make you appreciate what's happening right now? Yeah.
I always felt like I was a realist in my career. And I always felt like if I had a moment where I didn't think it was possible, I would give it up. Minor league baseball is not an easy lifestyle. I had a really fun conversation with Stan yesterday. He was asking me, what were you doing a year ago today? And I was like, I was substitute teaching. I was doing lessons. I was tag teaming with my mom doing a Wii Dance Club at the high school. I was just trying to make as much money as I could so I could afford training. And I was in AAA. The minor league life is not easy. When I had my surgery, everything was up in the air. I did not know. The success rate is good from Tommy John, but there were complications whether or not Tommy John was the exact surgery I needed. It was a really difficult time for me. But I just kind of, that year in my journey was the biggest year of my life, for sure. If you look back at some of the video of me pitching the year before I had Tommy John, I was probably, top in 87. I was struggling in AAA. I had, I think, a 15 ERA. I ended up figuring it out at the end of that year. And then I ended up having Tommy John the year after and missed the whole year. I just kind of used that time to clean up my life. I found out I had a lot of complacencies that I was kind of neglecting. When your mind is so focused on baseball and competing and getting guys out, you don't really have that time to really think about who you are and, where you're going and your relationships and your diet and just all these things that I just was intentionally just being complacent about. And so I had a full year to just not think about baseball. And so I was focused on my weightlifting, my conditioning, my diet, my relationship with God, my relationship with my girlfriend at the time, my family. Like everything was just at once. I became a better human being and I lost 30 pounds. And when I came back, I gained 4 or 5 miles an hour. That was the year that made my career. I think that if I didn't have that surgery, I don't think I'd be here right now. And I do believe that was a time in my life where I could say that it was a trial that was intentionally put in my life. And I think a lot of the decisions I made were important. I think the perseverance aspect of that was key to me making my debut.
Thank you very much, Ryan, and thank you very much, Dave.
You're welcome. Mark Topkin.
Hey, Ryan, just hadn't heard some of that before. What grade did you substitute teach, and can you explain what teaching a Wii Dance Club with your mom is like, actually, for those of us that don't really grasp that?
Yeah, I've taught a lot of different classes and grades. I've gone, I think, as low as 4th grade. I've done mostly middle school and a handful of high school. My mom's a PE teacher, so I'll substitute for her sometimes and do her PE class, but I actually enjoy the classroom setting more. I've done computers and science and health and history and math. I'll do it all, whatever you want. But the We Just Dance Club was awesome. It was every Thursday, and we'd go into the music room and we'd set up the Wii, and we would have 5 or 6 kids that would stay after school and join the club, and we'd just set them all up and we'd play with them. And you put the Wii on your wrist, and the game is like videos of these characters doing this crazy dance to whatever song, and you have to mimic the dance with the remote, and you get scores based off of how well you mimic it. And we would have a blast. It was just something that I enjoyed doing, and it was an extra, I don't know, $30 a week or something that, in the minor leagues makes a big difference.
Do you plan to teach this off season?
I thought about it, and part of the problem is it's a pretty long process to set up. So with this year already going into October, it would probably take me, 4 or 5 weeks before I would get all the paperwork back in. Especially as I didn't do it early this year because of COVID. I wasn't sure how the school year would be like. But it is something, regardless of where I'm at in my baseball career or whatever it is, like it is something that I will continue to do in the off seasons. It's something I really enjoy.
And just the last thing is, who would win the Wii Dance battle between Arozarena and Phillips?
Ooh, gosh, to be honest, I probably would say Phillips, because I think Arozarena's dance moves are a little too extravagant for the game.